I'm proud of us, of what we've done so far, but I know that we can do more. There are 9 other teams in EU LCS, and they're all hungry to beat us. They're looking at us doing MSI, they're looking at us getting the trophy in Copenhagen, and they're mad, you know. They want that. They want that for themselves.
I want you to think back to Copenhagen. I want you to think back to the feeling we had when we lost in the final.
And I want us to avoid having to feel like this again.
We've worked really hard this off-season, and now we have what we've always wanted. We have an opportunity.
This week, Summer Split begins.
So our goal is to win everything that we ever participate in.
Get in here, guys. We have a new team, new goals. The ambition remains the same.
I want them to hear us roar.
So, 1, 2, 3,
Sjokz! It's time to show what you can achieve.
You can beat every single team here.
This is our redemption split. Let's go.
1, 2, 3, URS!
In the end of the split, we're gonna lift the trophy together.
So go out there, do what you were born to do.
Slice!
The minimum we go is Worlds.
Hey, rock out!
All right, boys, it's time to get to work. 1, 2, 3,
Giants!
It's a lot harder to keep the crown than it is to get the crown. If we play our very best, we can do anything.
Who are we? FNC!
Fnatic Double G2 and the Spring Split Champions!
3 rookies prove themselves worthy of the top 4 in the EU LCS. A double kill from Mark! This guy is a madman! He can do it! Oh, Memento! You beautiful man! Guess the Quadra! Gabriel! Aisha! McCollum!
It's time to find out who will rise. This is the EU LCS. Welcome to the opening day of the EU LCS Summer Split. We are gearing up for 12 weeks packed with action here in EU and in Berlin, starting with the very first edition of Ready Check. Brand new logo and some familiar faces. I'm Sjokz supporter here at Martin Deficio and Ender, but one new guy on the block, Ender, Christian Frierson. Thank you so much for joining us and welcome.
I'm so excited to be here. All the other regions got their fun. Now it's time for us to join in.
Yeah, and if you're watching and you just listened, you might detect that he's not from Europe. He's actually from America. If you had to introduce yourself to the crowd in a couple of lines, what would it be?
Oh, I came over here from Riot's LA office. I was actually on the playtest team of all things and been cast in, ready to go.
Martin, some nice words for your colleague?
I mean, he's very tall. That's a great
Thank
thing.
you.
No, he's going to do very, very well here. I'm actually glad we found a good replacement so quickly after Maurice, of course, amazing, has left us. Giant German hole. We fill it with the American.
We did.
And then we're good to go.
Yes, and let's see what you guys have to say about the teams up on the slate today. But before we jump into what's happening in summer, let's cast our minds back to spring and remind us of what happened. Of course, Fnatic took the reins. They are the new kings of Europe. They beat G2 over in that final. Yes, we have a quota. I'm only saying kings 3 times in the pre-show.
Now you put the focus on it.
Yes, I did. Damn, okay.
Kings.
Well, anyway, Fnatic is the reigning champion in Europe as they beat out G2, and our top 3 was completed by Splice.
Yep, and of course, Fnatic G2 Splice. We'll go to Rift Rivals. We'll hopefully do better than last time we had EU versus NA at Rift Rivals. That never really happened. That was the pre-tournament. This is the real one happening this time. And I think these teams, they'll do fine.
Yeah, they should feel good going into Rift Rivals because Fnatic did have a good performance at MSI, Caps, Brox, that these players really stepped up and put on a good show.
Ender, I have to say I believe you, but maybe not 100% because back then you were in NA, so can you promise us that you weren't actually cheering for Team Liquid, but you were cheering for Fnatic?
Here, I'm a fan of the best League of Legends possible, and Fnatic played better League than Team Liquid did.
In the end, he cheered for RNG.
That is true.
Did that as well. Of course, fantastic tournament overall where they managed to win with Uzi. And then Riot said, ooh, these 80 carries. No, let's change some stuff here.
Yeah.
And now suddenly we have a crazy meta.
We have a crazy meta. We'll touch on the patch in just a bit. But first off, this brings us to summer. Let's remind ourselves of the format. Same as in spring of 2018, the beginning, we have best of ones all through the day, or all through the split, rather. 5 games a day. And of course, at the end of the split, whoever wins goes to Worlds.
Yeah, and that is important. We also want to look at roster changes. It's going to be a quick segment because we only have 2 roster changes. We have Amazing joining Sjokz instead of Pride. And then, of course, we also have Sir Nukes-a-Lot joining Giants instead of Targamas, which I think, while Sir Nukes-a-Lot can be a fine player, Targamas was young. He was still a rookie. I think he deserved a little more chances, but Giants felt like they had to change something. Ended up being him.
We'll have to see. Sir Nukes-a-Lot, also, fun fact, is 2 meters, 7 centimeters tall.
How tall are you?
2 meters, I believe, something like that.
Oh.
I'm in the foot and the inches system. I'm still trying to make that transition over to EU.
Yeah, well, we'll see a tall player entered the Rift. He's going to be the tallest person, I think, in the entire studio for the split. Maybe that's a challenge we can throw out there. In any case, not a lot of changes, which makes us think that with things being so close in spring, it should be similar in summer.
Yeah, I'm so excited to see what these teams can bring us because they've got the same rosters for the most part. They've had time to gel and really come back with a plan here in the summer split.
It just feels like a lot of teams said spring split was so close, we don't have to make big changes to make playoffs and maybe worlds. Because we have to remember, week 9, all 10 teams could still make playoffs. So I kind of understand why the teams are not making huge changes. Unicorns of Love is kind of the last one where we didn't talk about a potential roster change, but that's, of course, because they haven't really subbed Samax out of the starting lineup. If you look at the entire split, it's just right now because Samax is sadly sick, so he's not playing week 1.
Yeah, I believe we will receive an update about that also shortly, and we can inform you guys. But when it comes to the teams, not that many changes. When it comes to the show, though, we've got some cool additions. You begged, you pleaded. It's finally here. More of us.
Yeah.
No, I mean, in a way, the pre-show ready check will now always run a half hour before the first game. And this is actually what you actually pleaded for, the fact that the game will start on the hour. So at 6 o'clock today, at 5 o'clock on Saturday afternoon.
No excuses anymore for missing the start of the game.
Yeah, don't be late.
It's not randomly 6:12 and then 6:16 or something. It's just 6 o'clock. That's when pick and ban phase will start.
And you can keep us honest because behind us is the Ready Check logo, which will count down much like the in-game Ready Check. And when it's completely counted down, hopefully
I'm glad you explained that one. It really wasn't that obvious.
I mean, I just caught it, so I thought I'd just explain it. No, I'm just kidding. In any case, we want to know what you guys think about Ready Check. We want to know what you guys want to see, who you want to see, any ideas you may have, because it'll be hard to, keep on thinking of new things as we go 9 weeks into the split.
We'll figure something out.
Probably we'll figure it out, but we need your help. So go on Twitter, use that hashtag ReadyCheck, and tweet at LOL Esports. Now, to maybe set the stage for what you can expect from ReadyCheck throughout the split, we'll have information, we'll have analysis, but hopefully we'll also have a good amount of banter. And when I say banter, I think of Euphoria. I don't know if that's exactly what you want, but tell us. We have a whole new season of Euphoria coming up.
Season 2 just started. It got released already. It was with Maxlaw, and it had video.
Whoa.
We are actually still building the set, so it is under construction, but there is video. You can see our faces. There will be a lot of stuff happening. We will still have a lot of bets, of course. And talking about these bets, we have to then look back at some of the old ones that we haven't fully resolved yet. At MSI, we did a few with Whippo and Youngbuck. Specifically, they said they would make the final of MSI. We said, no, you won't.
Nope.
And because they didn't make the final, well, they had to get some fancy mustaches here for week 1. And I believe we have a picture of how they look. And I think this is a fantastic look if you look at these two guys here. And I actually hope they keep this style because it clearly suits them.
It suits them tremendously. It's like it's two different people. Youngbuck is like, I don't know, a father of 6. I know what happened.
See, don't lose bets on Euphoria. This will happen.
So if you had lost that bet, would you have even been able to grow a
That
mustache?
is completely irrelevant to the bet.
I don't think
Drakus would have had a great mustache. I'd probably have to put on a fake one. Or unless you give me like half a year and I could maybe grow half of what Youngbuck is showing us.
Same. In any case, bets are not all that dictates Euphoria, but it is a very appealing factor about the show. I'm always looking forward to what will come out. And one of the things that was lingering from last split was also the sumo wrestling invitational. Explain to me, what's up with that?
So we had a bet with Yamato Cannon and Sheepy where we had to rank the 4 teams of the main group stage that we already knew back then. So Team Liquid, Fnatic, Kingzone, and of course RNG. Now, 3 people in this bet got 0 correct. Those 3 people, Yamato Cannon, Sheepy, and Drakus, one guy actually got 2 of them correct. He's standing right here. It's not Ender.
That's impressive.
Yeah, I know. There we go. I got RNG and I got Fnatic. So by actually putting them last, then suddenly I got it. That meant, of course, in the sumo tournament, I get to have the highest seed going into
Means you're up last. Now that video is still in production, but we have a teaser. So here we go. Take a look.
demolish them.
I'm coming for you, Yamano.
And there's Deficio.
Sheepy is definitely the scariest.
Touch bellies, let's go. Let's go. Let's get ready to sumo!
People are already calling the ambulance for Dracos.
Wow. Wow. Fighting words there from Sheepy.
A lot of trash talk from Sheepy, who,
Yeah,
by
you
the
looked
way,
great.
I looked fantastic. I got some new tattoos as well, but Sheepy, he was awful. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay, well, we'll see. When is that video coming out?
I believe next week, early next week.
Early next week. Now, you've talked a lot, and we have set up a little thing for Ender, as we want to know about the new guy. We want to know about Ender, so we're putting you in the hot seat, which I will fire questions at you. Deficio will fire questions at you, and we will start off slow and easy. Hopefully. Let's see. What is your full name?
Christopher Matthewson Frierson.
He hates it when you call him Frierson, just so you know.
Hate it.
Where are you from?
I'm from Los Angeles.
What was your previous job?
I was on the playtest team at Riot.
What was your rank in North America?
Diamond 4.
What's that in Europe?
Level 19.
There we go.
Who's your favorite EU import in the NALCS?
Ooh, Bjergsen.
Okay.
Who's your favorite Danish caster?
Deficio, you might have heard of him?
Oh, God. Okay. Soccer or football?
Football.
Nice. Pants or trousers?
Pants.
Okay. What's the capital of Germany?
Oh, Berlin.
Oh, God, we're in Berlin. That was going to be so close.
What country is Dublin in?
Ireland.
Oh, wow.
There
Okay.
we go,
Impressive,
okay.
impressive. Do you speak any other languages but English?
No.
No. Okay, donc, est-ce que vous parlez français?
Un baguette.
Altså, du sprecher auch kein Deutsch?
Bratwurst.
Snakker du noget dansk overhovedet?
Pulsa.
Wow, I'm
basically what I'm saying in
I'm
Danish
wonderfully,
anyway.
wonderfully impressed. Ender, now we have a very important one coming up. There will be 2 words that are behind you right now. You also have a cue card, and you have to make the probably single most important decision in your life. So please show us how you'd want to hold the card up.
There we go. We converted him already. It's only week 1.
Great stuff. Of course, if you have questions for Ender, tweet with the hashtag ReadyCheck, and he'll answer them. He's at EnderCasts on Twitter. Finally, though, one final question since we are at the beginning of the summer split. What is the match you're most hyped for this weekend?
Fnatic versus Misfits.
Fnatic versus Misfits. And, coincidentally, that's also our match of the week. We have a video! Roll the video.
So we're coming back to the summer split here in the EU LCS with Fnatic returning from MSI. Now, they should be pretty happy with the performance at MSI, making it all the way to the semi-finals, but I know they're disappointed. So if you look across the last few splits, so consistently Han Summer beats Reckless in lane. He's able to get that extra little bit of damage, able to get the extra trade, and Reckless now, because he's been beaten so many times, isn't willing to make the plays he would make against other teams.
It's not done yet! Reckless gets burst out by Uzi and Ming. The engage shuts him down. Hylissang's running to the tower. He's gonna get burst out.
Hansama has kind of a similar playstyle as Uzi. He's harder to lane against, and I think Reckless really feels that.
I wouldn't say I have a mental block, I would just say that these players are some of the best players in their role, and it makes it so I can't just do whatever I want. Right now, Misfits is the best team in Europe. They would be the team that I'm most frightened with, but at the same time, I know that we have distinct advantages, for example, in the mid lane.
When you look at Misfits, one of the key changes that they made coming into Spring Split was bringing Sjokz into that mid lane, and he has been a disappointment. He has not really performed anywhere near the EU mids that we know. Caps, on the other hand, has just continued to grow, whereas Sjokz, even over the last few splits, hasn't really developed from when he started off on Splice.
As long as Sjokz does his job, it just sucks for Caps. Like, he's just going to lose.
I think Sjokz is one of the weaker mids in Europe. Obviously, I'm going to go in with the same mindset I go up against everyone else, but I probably would be a bit disappointed if I don't let out with a pretty big lead and carry the game.
If Stun, the Voice of Light is still available for Caps. If Xiaohu goes low enough, he's going to get bursted down!
I think Brock says he's really caring, and I think that reflects his game style. He helps his laners a lot, even if it's screwing himself over.
I think that Broxer is a very nice jungler. He'll willingly give up time to help out his laners, but I don't see a problem with that. If you've got Caps and Reckless and Soaz or Whippo in the top lane, spending some extra time around your laners and getting them ahead can win you the game. You don't have to make all the plays yourself.
I think some players out there, like Vedius and Maxlow, for example, they like talking a bit too much. I do the talking on the Rift, right?
About 1K, where's it gonna go? They got it for Fnatic!
they do it in real life because they can't really show off in the Rift. That's where I perform.
Pull it off here again. TP coming in. Flash moves with Mr. Oh, man! He does it! Brock's the hero of Fnatic!
We are supposed to be so much better than Misfits as a team, so it shouldn't even matter how my matchup goes. It should just matter how well I function within my team.
Oh, what in Deficio? Nothing. People heard you, so just finish your thought.
Oh, I was just so impressed with the way Broxa handled that little trash talk coming in, saying, you know what, guys, you can talk all you want in this chair. He's the man stealing Barons at Rift MSI. He's the man getting top 4.
But here's the thing with that. He goes, I show it on the Rift. We shouldn't have a problem. But in the regular season, in the spring split, Misfits was 2-0 over Fnatic. So that makes this matchup really spicy.
Right, and that came down to Misfits' ability to out-team fight Fnatic in the late game, which no other team in the ULCS can say for themselves.
Yeah, there's the only team actually able to do that during the split here. Another fun fact about this game we're going to have later, we will have, of course, the POV stream. It's going to be of Caps. I kind of want to promise you that he won't play
something
from Tarek, that kind of stuff. He's going to be on a carry. He said in that feature that he needs to shut down Sjokz and take over the game.
Super hyped for that, especially that we hear now again, Misfits is one of the strongest teams. It must mean that they're doing really well behind the scenes
it's
on
just
the scrim level.
It's the names on
it's
this
the
team.
names, but how is it going to pan out in the actual game? We do know that Soaz is also starting for Fnatic. So yeah, a lot of things up in the air to see how they will pan out. That will be our last game of the day. Plenty more action coming up. Before that, let's take a look. We have got confirmation that for Unicorns of Love, Samux will be playing.
I lied.
There we go. You did lie.
And I saw it on Twitter.
Yeah, the Unicorns lied and switched it up on us.
They switched it up. So if we think about possibly some new players like on Sjokz, like on Giants, which team or which player are we most looking forward to today?
Oh, I am so excited to see Team Vitality play today because when you remember the start of the last split, they came out of the gate super explosive, and this time they've got all the opportunities to play those crazy picks and get the early game snowball.
I'm also on Vitality. I already tweeted they will 2-0 this weekend, so that's probably going to blow up if they end up losing today, but let's see what happens with that one. I'm, of course, looking at Misfits because we just talked about them against Fnatic. 2-0 from last split. They can do it again here. It's week 1 of the split. Fnatic had a rough start to the spring split. It can be exactly the same here against Misfits.
We'll have to see, and we'll also have to see what the teams go for in terms of patch 8.11. This will be our first look for the EU LCS on 8.11. But around the globe, a lot of leagues have already started playing, and we've seen a lot of crazy things. So, Ender, why don't you break down what we should take away from those plays around the globe?
Yeah, you got it, Sjokz. Pro Play kicked off last week in the OPL, and right off the bat, we saw 4 Taliyah picks. You thought she was a mid laner? Nope, she's a jungler now. After buffs to her rock surfing and threaded volley, it's made her clear speed great, her mobility around the map fantastic, and she's a true Scuttle Crab Wrangler. She can fight almost any champion in the early game and control those mini objectives. But moving on to the LPL, speaking of early game champs, they got off to a spicy start with a Pyke appearance in their very first game. Now, I played with this guy through months of development, saw all the crazy stuff, and I've been playing him as long as he's been out, basically. His early all-in combined with his ability to get deep vision with relative safely is a tool that I am sure professional teams are going to love. And you know, no one respects the 1v1 damage out of this guy. Moving on, you guys wanted it. You're going to get it. The mid-support jungle hypercarry strategy that's been around for years, honestly, on Twisted Treeline recently picked up popularity over on Summoner's Rift. In Korea's LCK, the original Taric Master Yi combo debuted in their opening game. Basically, the way this works is you pick a hypercarry jungler like the Master Yi, a supportive mid laner like the Taric, and you go around all across the map being best friends, picking up as much experience as you can from jungle camps, from mid lane, and make sure you get every single Scuttle Crab with that priority. And that's going to make your Master Yi 3 levels ahead of everyone, just like Yondu, and you're going to trash people in games. But I don't think anything will sum this meta up better than the actual draft from that game 1. So let's take a look on the big screen.
Yeah, this was... of course, one of the first games we got to see
it's craziness.
On the new patch. It was just like, okay, this is insane. Yeah. Like the Fiddlesticks Lulu in the bottom lane, then the Taric Master Yi mid lane. They were against Nunu Karthus as well, so there was actually another strategy on the other side, also to funnel gold.
But I want to know, are we going to see this or comps like these?
I think Taric is going to get banned a lot, which might kill the Master Yi, but it could be left open.
See, here's the thing. I'm expecting teams to try this strategy just because we've seen it so many times across the world. But I think that eventually teams are going to learn that you can beat it with heavy early game pressure and just stop that champion from scaling up into a monster.
That's a good point. We've also seen around the world that if you're still a worse team than your competitor, you really have to have practiced this through and through to make it work. And that is often the question mark. So we'll see.
It's not easy to execute at all. We've actually seen when teams have tried like the Braum Graves strategies, they've been losing most of these games here. So teams already know kind of how to deal with it. They've had a couple of weeks to figure it out. I don't think it's overpowered, except maybe the Master Yi territory.
Maybe. Well, we will see. We'll be much wiser after today and see how the players react to the new patch. But to get more insight on which players to watch, let's head over to our boy Vedius.
Thank you very much, Sjokz. Yes, I have some players that I'll be keeping my eye on as we enter week 1 of the European LCS. Now, Caps is the man that we have to focus on. After his performance at MSI, he is considered one of the best mid laners in the world. After his Yasuo performance and Talia, he's now returning to the EU LCS stage to further sharpen his blade and prove that he is still a world contender as Fnatic look to make their way towards the World Championship. My next player is none other than Maurice Amazing Stuckenschneider. The man joining Schalke 04 as their newest jungler has reached the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. He's gone to Worlds twice. He has 2 title splits under his belt. Unfortunately, he's also been relegated with the mysterious monkeys. He's now returning to the LCS to reclaim some of that former glory. Our final player to watch will be none other than Mini Trupax, now known as Attila. This guy, last split, brought out all kinds of crazy stuff. Ziggs AD carry, he was playing Varus with teleport, unique strategies, fun playstyles. He cannot wait to get his action shown onto the Rift, and we know that he will be able to showcase some very interesting stuff. So those are 3 players that I'm going to be keeping my eyes on. Sjokz, Alice, what do you guys think?
I have to agree with you on Attila straight off the bat, especially because he already tweeted out, if you thought Ziggs was crazy, I have a couple of aces up my sleeve, so we'll see.
And it works. Both me and Ender, we're like, yeah, Vitality, they're going to win everything, man. They got so many picks prepared, and it's just because of that one tweet.
Yeah, Yamato's too. He was a fan of it too.
Well, a lot of faith in Vitality, and that will probably ring through in your predictions. Now we're going to have predictions again this split. Last split, we had Deficio was the undisputed broadcast team king. He was the best. He had, I believe, 56 points. We're going to take a look.
Keep going. I think it was 500 points.
The best Dane on the LCS broadcast, Pulsa, and superior analyst, fantastic. So can you, I mean, you don't want to give everything away, but how the hell did you know some of those things?
So I will say I did earn a few points because I was forced to pick differently due to the Euphoria bets than the player we had there. But
congratulations,
Deficio. Now, good luck beating me this split.
You're gonna be easy. I was only scared of Amazing. He's no longer here.
I'm sorry, I might have thrown that pretty hard because I'm still kind of envious because you did it so well. Anyway, the most important thing about this is that throughout the split, we will be casting our votes and our predictions, but you guys can join in on the fun and wipe that smirk off Deficio's face.
Where's my trophy?
Where is your trophy? Vedius was, oh, there it is. There we go. We can't keep celebrating Deficio. We're just
I got all this down here to my chest here now. It's really annoying. Thank you, Vedius.
Here is your trophy.
Thank you.
So anyway, if you don't want this to happen next split, this split, which I definitely don't, you can join in and tweet us your predictions for all 5 games every day at LOL Esports ahead of the show. LOL Esports is also going to send out a reminder tweet of you to do that because we just don't want him to win, okay? And we need your help. We can't do it, so there we go.
How are we doing? You want to touch it?
Yeah.
You can't touch it.
I don't get to touch it?
No, you don't.
But I have all the same predictions as you.
My trophy.
And you now get to hold this tiny trophy. Maybe it's a symbol, who knows, throughout the rest of the show. We are almost getting to our very first game, but you guys have immediately said that Vitality is going to take it. And the fans, though, they think that Splice is going to win. So there we go.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I guess maybe, Splice, they did win in Copenhagen. They have Xerxes who could come in with something crazy prepared, but Vitality on this patch, man, we got to believe.
Yeah, if you take last season's result or last split's results, that's what the fans are voting. We're voting for the future, and I think we know the Vitality have all the tricks up their sleeves.
Yeah, I like it that in the final one also, only the fan vote is for Fnatic. It's not the biggest surprise that they would go for Fnatic, but there we go. So.
Oh yeah, so actually, the reason I picked Misfits is because I think we might get Reckless playing like tanks or something in the bottom lane. That's a big change for Fnatic. Misfits can punish it.
More about that later. Let's now focus in on the very first game of the day. We're only 5 minutes and a bit away from that very first game, which is a rematch of the third place match, Splice versus Vitality. Now, when we look at these two teams, Splice is a team that came into spring with a lot of talent, a lot of established players, which actually we expected to do good straight from game one, but it took a while. It took a couple of games. It actually took a couple of weeks for them to find their form.
I mean, suddenly we realized how many new components they actually put together, because it wasn't just the 5 players, it was also 3 coaches and a new manager behind the scene. So many people had to figure out, okay, how are we going to play the game? How are we going to work together? And they showed us just doing that split. Once they started playing around Odoamne in the early game, he got a bunch of kills, but he obviously didn't do it alone.
Yeah, it was really Xerxes for me, who I thought stepped up and had so much pressure in the early game. He had participated more First Bloods than any other player in the league, not just jungler, any other player, and he also made our first All-Pro team.
That he did, and that was really the story for me for Splice, a team that just had to get the individual components to work. And Kobbe, the strongholder, we can expect will still be fantastic depending on what he decides to pick. But if we look at their competitors, Vitality, it was quite the inverse story. Vitality, as you guys already said, they burst onto the scene with those rookies and they won every single game.
It was so fun to watch them play in the start because they were so aggressive. It was always around Jizuke in the mid lane. I hope to see the same thing here because we have to remember, while they played the same style, they had so many different picks in each role. Like we even had Lucian top lane from Caboshot doing that split. So I think they're going to come in here with 10 picks per role prepared, and they will surprise teams in the pick and ban phase.
Yeah, Attila too. He was the guy that brought out the Ziggs in the ULCS. He played a mage in the bot lane when it wasn't even cool stuff. So now it's all the rage, and he's going to have so much to show us.
Yeah, we'll be looking at that bottom lane, but as always with Vitality, we'll be looking at that mid lane as well. The Italian stallion Jizuke, rookie of the split, really made a name for himself in spring. So excited to see how much he can grow in summer.
Yeah, because if you remember towards the end of the split, he was on Talia duty all the time. Yeah. It will change now. I think they might put him back on, again, these very aggressive where he can carry kind of style picks, because in this meta here, you can really set your mid laner up to shine. The mid lane priority is so key. If he's able to do that, if he is able to make plays like the one we see on screen here, Vitality can start winning a lot of games early.
Yeah, I mean, you have a jungler that works with their mid laner to get control over the lane, over the river too, for all those juicy scuttle crabs. Yeah. That's the recipe for success.
Yeah, we will see exactly what happens there. We do have to cast our mind back to the third place match where Jizuke went up against Niski and up against Splice, and we thought Niski is not going to be able to do anything versus that guy. But it was a different story. Niski absolutely crushed him.
It was supposed to be, you know, advantage for Vitality in that mid lane during this BO5, but look at the stats from Niski in that best of 5 series. Like, he became the main carry on Splice, and that is such a key thing for the new split, because we were constantly asking during the spring split, where's Niski? They need a mid laner who can be a carry. They can't just play Roman supportive all the time. He is a carry now.
Yeah, it was so impressive too, because he came in to those semifinals matches, into the third place match, and was roaming at level 3 on Zoe of all things. That's the mid laner we wanted to see all split long, and he showed up, and he's here to stay.
That is true, but it's always difficult to say, because we're not, well, it's recency bias. We have the impression that Niski stepped up and that he made it happen, but now for him, it's also completely reset, and those expectations for Splice are, for me, I have to say, I have high expectations for Splice, and the way we saw them evolve throughout spring, I don't want to give them that same leeway, because we know what they can do at least third place. So I want to see them winning games straight off the bat today.
I think if you're Splice, you have to make the final. If you want to actually show that you have improved even further in the summer split. There's going to be so much competition, though, like we saw last split, where all teams could still go into playoffs around week 9. Going into playoffs itself, we had BO5s going left and right. Like, I think with Splice, they have the players and the coaching staff to become a team that can make the final, but there's still G2 and Fnatic standing in front of them, and those two teams,
and Vitality, who they're up against right now. And you guys just gave your support to Vitality. You are very confident that they're going to be probably the best team the first couple of weeks. Is that fair enough to say?
I mean, we're putting all our eggs in there. This meta can work for them, kind of thing.
So if you take away the meta, what makes you think that Vitality can succeed as well in the beginning of the split?
I think that their ability to make plays in the early game, think Gilius ganking at level 2 in so many games in the spring split, while it is just a linear strategy that they can hone in on, it's strategy that catches teams off guard and has worked for them in the past.
Yeah, I also think they were the first team in the spring split to kind of show, okay, this style works really well in the current meta, so we're going to abuse it. I think it's going to be the same here. They are clearly very quickly at picking up these kind of things. They've been in Korea boot camping. All the individual players should be doing much better. So I think this Vitality team will be strong, but It's a completely crazy meta at the moment where fully predicting what's going to happen in a pick and ban phase is not easy.
It is not easy. I'm going to cut you guys off. We are only 38 seconds away, as we can see the timer here as well. And we still want to know from you guys what you thought about ReadyCheck, what you'd like to see. Tweet at LOL Esports using that hashtag ReadyCheck. Did you guys enjoy the first ReadyCheck at least? Did it get you hyped?
It was great. I'm hyped. I just want to press that button. Get it started.
And get in there.
Get in there, man.
Yeah,
Start
very
smacking the
close. Only 18 seconds. I'm not actually sure at what moment we're going to go over to the casters, if we're going to keep it as close as possible to the hour.
I know sometimes when you do click in the
Now, it's right now. Let's kick off the 2018 EU LCS Summer Split.
Thank you, Sjokz. Hello, everyone. I'm Daniel Dracos here with Andrew Vedius Day for the